All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, guys. We've got a show that I think is going to be I'm going to predict is going to be a future evergreen, because this is going to be very important, not only for this election cycle, but going forward. I have Jason Sheppard. He is the founder of Wimkin social media on with me today. We're going to be talking about the social media ban, or the alleged social media ban for TikTok. I want to get his take on that, or at least the legislation for banning TikTok. So we'll get his take on that. But also, he's gone through this. I mean, he's gone through the gauntlet when it came to banning a social media platform. He was on fire. His social media platform I believe it was 2020 or 2021, before the powers that be shut it down. So I couldn't think of anyone better to speak to about this issue. So again, Jason Sheppard, founder of Wimkin Social Media. Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, listen, you've been through this, and TikTok is obviously different. I mean, TikTok, ByteDance, I mean, those are, in my opinion, those are foreign adversaries trying to collect our data. But I want to make sure that, I was like, oh, yeah, ban them, ban them, ban them. But I can't lie to you. I read stories like yours, and I'm like, okay, let's take a pause. I don't want China data mining. If there's any type of legislation, it would have to be extremely narrow, because I want people to hear about what happened to your company and what you're fighting through right now, Jason.
Yeah, Carl. So we launched our app in September of 2020, and by January of 21, we were blamed for the alleged insurrection. We were kicked off of both app stores and legitimately basically shut down all of our monetization. And, we were banned 3 days after Parler was. So, again, we were emerging. Being number one in the app store certainly got us a ton of, obviously attention, and certainly from the wrong people. And, essentially I think that's really how it started. And then once the app stores banned us, then 200 syndicated publications all over the world picked it up and stated that, we're insurrectionists, we're racists, we're, organizing against the government, domestic terrorists was my favorite, just because we offer free speech. But, basically, we've gone through that since day one. Again, we've had the Postal Service start looking at us, and right after the election in
What?
November of 2020. Oh, yeah, there's something called ICOP, ICOP, and the Postal Inspection Service. If your listeners and viewers want to look that up, it's ICOP. And yeah, Wimkin was caught up in that too, where they had a covert body of the Postal Inspection Service looking at us, and we still to this day have to fight through some mail going
I
missing
didn't even
things.
know that existed.
We didn't
Obviously, that
we
is
didn't either.
insane.
We didn't either, to be quite honest with you. But then actually, after 8 months, we fought our bans and actually ended up beating both Apple and Google Play. 2 months after that, we were under the microscope of the J6 House Select Committee. So, yeah, we've seen it all. We knew this was coming down the line with the Restrict Act. There's no doubt about that. We set ourselves up to not really have any information to provide to these type of government bodies. And we're 100% data private. And Carl, when the House Select Committee came in, they wanted every piece of information on every single user. And I'm not even exaggerating. They wanted credit card numbers, they wanted phone numbers, they wanted email addresses, IP addresses, dates logged in, and even messages between users on the platform. And we don't keep any of that. So, we really could not help them. So they don't like us very much. I can tell you that much. But, as it comes to the TikTok aspect, you know, I think you and I, just from, what you just stated here, you are you're for protecting the United States from foreign adversaries. There's no doubt about that. And I think this bill, I think they're writing it to warp it like they did to kind of make it Patriot Act 2.0. Because if you recall when Trump said that we should ban TikTok, the entire left stated he's nuts. This cannot happen. Now it's got incredible bipartisan support, which leads me to believe there's something bigger going on behind the scenes, and that these individuals want control over platforms like myself, over platforms like, True Social, Getters, and these basically the ones that go against the narrative of big tech.
Yeah, you know what? And honestly, I am extremely scared of the slippery slope. But here's here's one issue that that comes to mind, and that is the left are absolute communists. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that to be funny. I don't say that to be hyperbolic. My sense of the left is this. Even if we and I feel like doing banning TikTok is doing the right thing. Even if we were to do that, I think the left is going to take advantage of trying to ban people like yourself anyway, just because these people don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about the Constitution. So I'm kind of torn because I'm like, we have this foreign adversary that's obviously trying to dumb down the U.S. population and collect as much data as possible. But and then we have, in my opinion, the domestic threat from the Democratic Party and then feckless Republicans, if we're being honest, that absolutely want to tear down people like yourself and your company with Wimkin social media. So that's where I'm kind of torn because I think you're absolutely right. I don't trust them, any of them, frankly, as far as I can throw them. But and then I'm also thinking like I think they do it anyway. No matter what happens, I think the left would try to come after people like yourself anyway, just because that's where they are. I mean, they've been trained to be little commies in college and through social media and wherever else. Jason, could I ask you why did you decide to open Wimkin? I mean, that's for a person like me. I mean, that's extremely ambitious. Just wake up one morning and you're like, dude, I'm gonna make a social media app. How did that come to play?
You know what? To be honest with you, so Wimkin stands for World Must Know Now in honor of free speech, and our logo is actually a panic button for the world to sound. So, realistically, when I saw them, I worked in healthcare IT, and my team, we were misled 100%. My team was the one who actually went to doctors' offices and set up protocols for them to report back to the health system, also the health insurance company. And then in September of 2020, which is, I'm sorry, September of 19, which is quite a very important date here, our team was tasked with delivering 130,000 tests. We had no idea what these tests were for. So we had to set up protocols for this testing within the 2,300 primary care physicians' offices that we managed, and then also set up a reporting protocol, privacy HIPAA compliant, that would actually report to the county health departments. So September of 19, COVID was pretty much known by my health network, and
Wow.
yes, so this is
September 2019, because I've
yep.
read stuff on that. I've never heard any confirmation
Yep.
on that
And
type of thing.
you know what? We delivered 130,000 tests. We had no idea what they were for until
You
basically
got it.
December. And at that point in time, doctors' offices were calling me and said we can't administer these tests because we are giving tests for any coronavirus, which means, I probably have one right now that I'm asymptomatic for. So that's why we had the, 90+% positivity rate, and that I would just not help with the pandemonium and the fear mongering. So I left. I started what's now defunct, but it was a platform called World Must Know, which turned into Wimkin because we were getting 30 to 40,000 unique visitors a day that wanted to do more. They wanted to share their stories. They wanted to tell what they thought about certain situations. They wanted to talk about why they weren't able to worship, schools being shut down, and they weren't allowed to do any of that on social media. So that's really where I got the idea. And then what really motivated me to do it was when Facebook shut down the Save the Children hashtag, calling it domestic terrorist. And also when they started shutting down Christian prayer, I said, that's it. We have to do something.
Man, good for you. Good for you. Okay, that honestly, Jason, have you written on this topic about these tests, 130,000 tests,
I
from
have
September?
Sorry, Carl. Yeah, I have not actually written upon that. I've done many, many interviews about, why I've gotten into this. However, I think it's probably best I never put the insurer's name out there, because it's one of the
Okay,
largest in
okay,
my
fair.
tri-state area. But if I get approval to do that, I certainly would like to have people know why this platform was started and why, realistically, I don't think many people would have stuck with it after, getting banned by the app stores. They take away your
Yep.
monetization capabilities. You're canceled by your banks. You're canceled by PayPal, which we probably never should use PayPal anyways, but it's very simple to use. And then, basically your entire world's turned upside down, being called the worst things under the sun that couldn't be, further from the truth. So But we're here, we're fighting through it. We're almost at 10 million users now, and I can't stop. So that's pretty much where I am with it.
Man, that is so cool. Actually, I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you, Jason. I suck at social media. Um, I'm learning it. I probably shouldn't say that on television. Forgive me. But I stink at it, and I'm learning as I go. But I am going to make sure that I subscribe to Wimkin. Frankly,
Mhm.
I'm just fascinated. I'm fascinated by your story. Obviously, I love free speech. I don't trust the left, but sadly, I don't trust many on the right either. Just because, not because I don't think they want to do the right thing. I just don't think that oftentimes they have the courage to do the right thing, as evidenced by this latest spending bill. That's, I
Yes.
mean, it's just like a vicious cycle. It goes on and on and on. We're going to bring Jason back for another segment. Again, I'm talking to Jason Sheppard. He is the founder of Wimkin Social Media. When we get back, I'm going to ask him specifically what Google and what Google and Apple did to actually try to destroy his company. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Today's show is brought to you by MyPillow.com. Guys, listen, don't buy products from the communists from communist China when you have American-made products from MyPillow.com, especially ones that'll give you a good night's rest. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. All right, I'm back with my guest, Jason Sheppard. He is the founder of Wimkin Social Media. And this guy has been through the gauntlet when it comes to making sure that his business stands. And he's going to tell us exactly what he's gone through in just a minute. I read a column of his that he wrote for the Blaze, and I mean, I've interviewed Jason before, but for whatever reason, maybe because the time was so short, I just didn't realize how expansive his issue was. I mean, just how far the left had gone to just try to absolutely devastate the guy and devastate his company. But he's coming back, and I think he'll be stronger than ever. And we are talking about the TikTok ban. And Jason, if you want to just give us, just for clarification, give us your take. I'm going to clarify my take. I'm sitting here thinking through it. I want to clarify it. We talked about it a little bit offline, and then I want to go through specifically what Google and Apple did to you, and I think what Google is still doing to you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So my take on the TikTok aspect. So I am 100% for specific language in the Restrict Act to where, you know, companies in the United States should not be doing business with national security threats, foreign entities, and that pretty much are deemed enemies of the United States. Now, I know you said this 100% first and foremost, where TikTok is specifically here to dumb down America. I just did Stacey Washington's show, and I akin basically they're trying to make it a Jerry Springer show for the entire America. So thank you. But realistically, TikTok, this version is not allowed in China. And what people don't understand is, China is trying to advance their culture to be better than the United States. I mean, we are their number one competitor, and realistically, who knows? They're out there working or promoting 50 to 60-hour work weeks and education, education, education. So when it comes down to what they're allowing here, in the United States, first and foremost, that algorithm that needs to be brought to the United States. There's no doubt about that 100%. So we can control it. I mean, we developed a TikTok alternative called Realster, and it's in beta testing right now if anybody wants to check that out. But the first thing we did was we put in parental controls and age groups to serve content because, if you have a son or daughter that's 8 years old and they're getting, content that adults are getting based on, the scantily clad girl dancing or doing whatever they do on TikTok, eating cereal out of toilet bowls, for God's sakes, licking toilet seats, those type of crazy challenges, laying in traffic, doing crazy things that actually get, our children hurt and killed. You'll never see that on a Realster because we have age groups, we go from 3 to 8 years old, 9 to 12, 13 to 17, and 18 plus. And first and foremost, if you were able to fix TikTok to do something like that and not hurt children, that's fantastic. Also, if you're able to keep the data private or somewhat private to where it's just like I mean, Meta's not much better. They are in terms of not being, mining for the Chinese Communist Party. But, when you have at least if they're using it only for marketing capabilities, then that to me should be legal. But what they're doing right now, Carl, I cannot get behind it. I think that some of the language in the bill needs to certainly be changed because it does leave us open to a lot of unneeded enforcement, so to speak. But when it again comes to a serious national threat, which TikTok is, there's no doubt about it. That's why federal employees can't have it, even though Joe Biden uses it to get young voters. Federal employees, state employees can't have it. And we already know too, TikTok was found to spy on journalists. So, realistically, there's an issue with that. They have to change it. And if they change that, as you know, I'm not for censorship. So if they can make that safe and just fix that side of things, then they should definitely keep TikTok in the United States. Because what about the single moms that are out there, and the soccer moms, and the people that use TikTok to make money? I don't think the government can come in and say, well, you're going to get unemployment compensation now because we just shut down your $500,000 a year business. There's a
Mm.
lot of problems with it.
Yeah. You know what, Jason, I got to tell you, just listening to you expound on your reasoning, I think I can safely say, yeah, what he said. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at. And the alternative is Realster. So I'm going to be praying that Realster just blows up for you, because I do think that we need an alternative. And I will say this: I don't want this issue worked on with Joe Biden in the office. I don't trust him.
Yes.
I don't trust Democrats, whatsoever. I don't trust the feckless Republicans. If something is going to be done about it, I mean, the language has to be so tight. I think a ban ultimately does need to occur, but I think the language needs to be so tight. And I do want to clarify the language. It's not quite a ban. Let me just read this real quick. This from the Heritage Foundation. They said the House on March 13th passed by a wide bipartisan margin the Protecting Arms from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, which gives TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, a choice: either sever ties with the Chinese government, okay, or cease business operations in the United States. So TikTok can exist. It just won't necessarily exist in the United States unless they divest from ByteDance. He goes on to say, the writer, in response, some have framed the bill as an outright TikTok ban. That claim is factually mistaken because the House passed bill does not have that effect. But that claim does pose the question of whether Congress could ban TikTok from the U.S. altogether. And that answer is yes. That's just a small summary. All right, so I just wanted to make sure that the audience was clear on that. I loved Jason's take on that. Jason, we only have about 4.5 minutes left here.
Mhm.
I want to talk specifically. I'm getting some feedback in my ear here, guys. Um, I want to talk specifically about what Apple did and what Google did to your social media platform to try to nix it, and then I want you to talk to the audience about, leading up to the elections, how crucial is it to make sure that we have platforms like Wimkin, or hopefully Realster being, out of beta testing or what have you soon. How important is that with the censorship that we see from the left and big tech?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, if you look at the timing of Wimkin's success was absolutely insane. And the way Wimkin is set up, it's like a Facebook. I mean, you have video chat, you have the ability to live stream for 3 hours per post. You can upload 100 gigabyte videos. So they saw many different avenues to disseminate information in mass, and they didn't like the information that people were coming and disseminating on our platform. So I think that's why we certainly got banned that quickly. But what Apple did is they took offense to four posts that were on Wimkin. And I'm not even joking with you. Between Apple and Google Play, they took offense to 9 total instances of content that were found on our platform. They tried to turn one in, which was called the Million Militia March, which was not violent in any way. But they tried to turn that into the fact we were organizing against the government, turned us over to numerous bodies of law enforcement to get us on their radar, and then they banned us based upon that. We got banned for someone saying that literally traitors, treasonous should be hung, which is actually the penalty for treason. So these things you should not be able to be banned for. But after the alleged insurrection, they were trying to do anything they possibly could to shut down anybody even just a free speech platform, but they were trying to shut down anything they deemed far right. So that's what Apple did to us. Google Play actually, within the last week, has also still not allowing us to update our app. However, we did win that. As of yesterday, we do have our update in the app. I'm sorry, in the Google Play Store. But That's essentially how that happened to us there. It took 8 months and a lot of legal fees to beat them because, Apple and Google Play, they probably have 30,000 in-house attorneys. And nobody wants to take that case unless you have a
Right.
retainer of at least $150,000. So, not great, but this is what they do. They set us up to bleed us dry, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, social media it is just so important nowadays.
Yep.
Obviously, Barack Obama used it effectively. You had former President Donald Trump that still continues to use it effectively, even though they try to censor him as much as possible. I'm thankful for people like Elon Musk. I don't always agree with his positions, but I'm thankful for what he did, taking a hit and purchasing Twitter. But it's obvious that I mean the left are going after him, and he's a guy that's well, I don't know that he's of the left, but he's definitely a liberal for
Mhm.
sure. Is censorship leading up to 2024? We only have a minute left. Talk to us about your concerns. What should we be doing, or what should Congress do, perhaps even?
Well, I mean, I don't think Congress would have any time to fix this by November, but I mean, what you're seeing with the desperation, there's never been more desperation on the left, which the left to me is mainstream media, big
Yeah.
tech, and obviously Democratic politicians. So as we go and roll towards November, you're going to see censorship like you've never seen before. I mean, realistically, in the next 7+ months, uh, do your diligence, screenshot everything that you post, build a case in your mind on how to fight these individuals that are going to try to shut you down based on the fact they don't want a Donald Trump win or any Republican win. So, but yeah, it's going to get really bad, Carl. So, I would certainly again back up everything you possibly can, and don't think that they are not going to shut down all of your content. Save your content because it could be
Wow.
destroyed in just one keystroke.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to Jason Sheppard, founder of Wimkin Social Media. Man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you standing in the fight, man. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you.